What's up, all my fellow comic heads out there in YouTube land? This is Comic Hoarder 410. Here to do part 9 of my keys variants and such. And I just want to say sorry if I put up a few videos in a short span of a few days here. I've been procrastinating, as you know, on organizing my books, and as I'm got some time to go through here, I'm just going to film these real quick and file them back and try and keep it moving. So, starting off here, I've showed this book before. This is Defenders 36. Actually, sorry, this is the 30-cent test cover variant to Defenders 36. This is Defenders number 152. It's a double-sized issue, and it's the final issue, with a cover by Frank Sirocco. This is Giant Size Defenders number 1, and it's a pretty nice copy, except for as many times it happens. The flaws are on the spine here, a little bit, pretty serious rolling up there at the top, just a tiny bit. You can totally see the 50 cents where you can't really see the Giant Size Defenders there. But it's rolled, a little bit of smudging, and 2 little dings in the 50-cent price box, and 1 little ding there by the Hulk's ear that doesn't, sort of breaks color. But overall, pretty sharp copy of a cool book. I'm a big fan of those giant size Marvels, as you know. This was a short-lived series that I actually liked. This was on the Wachowski brothers' Burly Man imprint. And this is Doc Frankenstein number 1 by the Wachowski brothers with gorgeous art by Steve Skroce. Beautiful cover there. This is Doc Frankenstein number 2. And I believe these sketch covers weren't technically variants. I could be wrong, but I believe they printed equal number of the color cover and the sketches. So I could be wrong about that. That's Doc Frankenstein number 2. This is Doc Frankenstein number 3. And that's the sketch cover, and it's a gorgeous cover. Steve Skroce is awesome. I actually really like this series, but I believe number 4 here was the final issue of the Burly Man Doc Frankensteins. But again, an awesome cover by Steve Skroce of Doc Frankenstein fighting these werewolves. That's awesome. This is Doctor Strange 169. It's technically the first issue of Doctor Strange. Before this, it was Strange Tales. And when they switched it to Doctor Strange, this was the first issue, and it retells his origin. And it's got a beautiful cover here by Dan Atkins, who ETA Nick has mentioned in a couple recent videos. He's a great inker and a great artist. And that's one of probably my favorite Dan Atkins cover. I don't know. As far as the books I have, anyway. It's a beauty. And this is a nice copy, except it's got the date stamp. The spine's nice. Very nice. It has, the problems are down here in the bottom corner, if you can see it. It's got a fold and a chip there, 2 small chips, and another small chip out of the bottom right corner. But other than that, it's a very nice copy of a cool book. Had to snatch that up when I saw it. This is IDW's Doctor Who number 1. The more recent series, I guess. I have the early Marvel premiere Doctor Who's. And guess they'll be with the M books when I get to them, hopefully. But this is Donald Duck Adventures number 1, the first Disney Comics issue. Don Rosa art. This is the Dragon Prince number 1, Top Cow Baltimore Comic Con exclusive from 2008, and it's a cover by David Finch. Awesome cover there. Next up is Dreadstar number 1 by Jim Starlin. I'm a big fan of Dreadstar, and that's a sharp copy. I believe this is an unread copy. Has a 1 ding there up by the D. If you can see, it doesn't break color, but there's a ding in the spine. This is Dream War number 1, and it was kind of crossover fight between DC and Wildstorm's heroes. So you can see Superman and the Midnighter on the cover there. And this is the variant to Dream War number 1 by Lee Garbett. This is DuckTales number 1. Very sharp copy of that. And I was a big fan of Blue Falcon and Dynomutt as a kid. And this is Hanna-Barbera's Dynomutt number 1. And again, it's a pretty awesome copy, except for, if you can see, is a ding right there on the spine in between Yogi and Magilla Gorilla. But cool book. Very happy to have it. Moving over here, this is Earth X number 1. The painted cover by Alex Ross. This is Marvel Knights Elektra number 1. Beautiful painted cover by Greg Horn. Just gorgeous. And I know I have the first few issues of the series before that Mike Deodato drew, but I didn't find them. They're somewhere. Showed this before. This is Kamiko's Elementals number 1. And I got it signed by creator and artist Bill Willingham, who went on to do Fables and many other things. But I liked this book as a kid, so I got these signed. That's number 1. And that's, I believe this is the second series of Elementals. But an awesome cover again. Bill Willingham signed that for me. Another series, I was a huge fan of this as a kid when I started getting into like Conan and Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. And big fan of ElfQuest by Richard and Wendy Pini. And this is a pretty awesome copy, number 1. And this, I had to buy it. I didn't get it cheap, but I could not argue because this is Fantasy Quarterly number 1 featuring ElfQuest. And this is the very first appearance of ElfQuest, and it was independently published by Richard and Wendy Pini, and it's cheap paper stock. The cover is basically made out of the same paper that the interior is, and it gets destroyed easily. I mean, this is a gorgeous copy if I can get a focus on it. Gorgeous. Look at that. Couldn't argue with this. Small ding right there in the bottom. But this is super sharp, man. Considering getting this one graded. Yep, small chipping on the top corner there too. But I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, look at the spine here. This is a sharp one, man. Very happy to have that Fantasy Quarterly number 1. And I think I paid like $100 or a little more for this, but it was the nicest copy I had seen, and still to this day I've seen, so I bought it. This is the Image, the 2 issues Image published rather, of Mark Waid and Barry Kidson's Empire, and they're a lot harder to find than the DC mini because it didn't get finished, but Barry Kitson signed this for me. That's Empire number 1. And again, I highly recommend picking up the trade of this. They only did 6 issues. It's an excellent story. They're talking about revisiting it with another mini, and I suggest picking it up. It's an excellent read, but this is number 2 of the Image series, and they only printed number 1 and 2. And then DC finally finished it. Wisely. This is a book that was really hot for a while in the late 90s, and it's Empty Zone number 1, and the cover's by this guy, The Dark One, who was really popular at this time. He's also doing a book called Animal Mystic that was getting a lot of hype and a lot of high prices at this time. I don't know if it's worth anything now, but that's Empty Zone number 1. This is the variant to Neil Gaiman's Eternals miniseries number 1. And I believe this is Oliver Coipel variant. This is Image's Eternal Warrior. This is Valiant's Eternal Warrior number 1. believe that's a Frank Miller cover. This was a big book when I was in middle school. The Excalibur one-shot that introduced the team to America here. This was by Chris Claremont with gorgeous art by Alan Davis and Tom Neary. Beautiful. And this book made quite an impression on me, prestige format. And I was told Alan Davis is going to be at Baltimore Comic-Con this year. He's coming across the pond to see us next September, so I'm going to hopefully get that signed. Can't wait to meet him. That's awesome. Here we have an awesome Wildstorm series that I also highly recommend. Story and art is fantastic. This is Brian K. Vaughan's Ex Machina with amazing art by Tony Harris. This is a great book. Great read. And that's issue number 1. I love this cover. This Tony Harris cover to Ex Machina number 2. Beautiful. And powerful. It's a powerful image. That makes you stop and look. Actually, I need to finish that off. I think I have the first 5 or 6 issues. I don't know how long that went. But I need to get the rest of those. So, I think it did go more than 6. Because I have the trade. So, anyway, moving on. This is Fables number 1. And this is the Alex Maleev cover. And Bill Willingham signed that for me this year at Baltimore as well. And it's a gorgeous cover to Fables number 2 by James Jean. And again, Mr. Bill Willingham was nice enough to sign that for me. So, going to keep this one relatively short because I got another stack I'll probably film and throw on YouTube later tonight. But thank you guys and girls, as always, for taking the time to check out my books. I always appreciate it. And I enjoy seeing what great stuff all of you pick up and read. So everyone take care of yourselves and your families and each other. And enjoy your comics. Happy comic reading.